Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this video, I'm going to speak a little bit about what property strategies are available to you depending on your budget. So do you have £10,000 saved? Do you have £25,000 saved? Or do you have £50,000 plus saved? Depending on your savings, there are different property strategies that you can look at. And in this video, I'm going to detail what they are depending on the amount of money you've got saved. So let's say you've got £10,000 saved. So generally, this is not going to be enough money to actually purchase a property. However, there are still some strategies you can definitely look at which can enable you to actually bring in some good cash flow. And there are two that come to mind. The first is rent to rent. So rent to rent is basically when you rent a property from a landlord and you provide them with guaranteed rent. And then you either typically rent it as a HMO, so you rent out each individual rooms and you manage that property, or you have it running as a service accommodation. So you have that property up on Airbnb and Booking.com. And ultimately what you're looking to do is actually profit from the difference you're making from actually having it as either a HMO or a service accommodation and the guaranteed rent you're providing to the landlord. So for example, let's say you've taken on a property and it's a 2-bed flat in Birmingham and you're giving the landlord £900 in rent. Now, you run that as a service accommodation, so you have an Airbnb and Booking.com. The nightly average rate is £100. So at 70% occupancy, so this is about 21 days in the month, your gross revenue is £2,100. You minus the £900 from the £2,100, you're left with £1,200. Then you may have some cleaning fees, which could potentially be another £200. Then there may be bills and other costs as well, which could be another £300. So you're left with about £700 in profit every single month. So this is just an example of how you can actually profit from the rent to rent model with not that much capital upfront. The second is deal sourcing. So deal sourcing is actually find good deals for investors. So these investors could have large deposits. However, they don't have actually much time or knowledge to actually find good deals. So as a deal sourcer, you can actually go out and find really good deals for investors, which they typically wouldn't have been able to find by themselves. So generally, these aren't going to be deals that are on Rightmove. However, these may be deals that you've spoken to the vendor directly and been able to actually secure it for a really good deal. But with that, you're going to be charging a fee. So that's one way you can actually provide value to investors and actually get paid for it as well. Now, let's say you've got a little bit more money up front. So it maybe you've got £25,000. One option is you can definitely look at buy-to-lets up north. And I actually know of investors that have actually purchased properties up there for quite cheap, and they're good freehold properties and they run them as buy-to-lets and they cash flow really well. And with the north as well, capital growth is actually expected to rise faster than the south, and yields also typically tend to be higher as well. And typically the things you want to be looking for are tenant demand in that area, what type of tenants you're likely to attract, your return on investment, and then the cash flow that you'll be receiving every single month. So how much profit will you be getting every single month? So do feel free to grab my free deal analysis sheet, which will be in the description, and you'll be able to do this pretty easily. You can just plug your numbers in and it will show you how much money you're going to be profiting every single month. So with £25,000, you can definitely get a solid buy-to-let property up north, which cash flows well for you and could benefit from capital growth in the long run as well. So now let's say you've actually got a little bit more, £50,000 plus. So here you can actually look at other property strategies like multi-unit deals, which is what I do, HMOs, and BRRRs as well. So let's go through the three strategies here. So multi-unit deals, this is typically where you buy multiple flats under freehold title. Now, ultimately, you want to look for, again, high cash flowing blocks of flats where you can actually title split the flats and release funds back out of the property. So typically you want to look for a place where those individual flats are actually going to be worth substantially more than you are buying that one freehold as a whole block. HMOs is another one. So here you can buy properties where there's multiple occupants and you're getting cash flow from different tenants within one property. And with a larger budget, you can definitely do this again up north, but depending on your budget, you can actually do this down south as well. I know in Kent, there's a lot of areas here which are still not Article 4, which can mean that there's not going to be any major restrictions if you want to purchase a property and actually have it running up to a 6-bed HMO. It's only after that you have to go through planning permission. And then you've got BRRR, where you actually buy the property, refurb it, rent it out, and then refinance it. You can then refinance at the newer value. Once that property's been done up, now it should be at a much higher value than what you purchased it for. It should exceed the building cost plus the purchase price and enable you to refinance and pull out a lot of your money or all of your money out of the deal. So hopefully this helped you understand a little bit more about what you can do depending on the savings that you've got. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if you do have £10,000 savings, you have to do rent to rent, or you have to do deal sourcing. Use this video as a guide in terms of understanding that there are different property strategies out there depending on where you are at. Now, if you do want some guidance and some help, understanding what strategy is best for you depending on your situation, then do feel free to book in a discovery call with me. It'll be in the pinned comment and the description below. So if you enjoyed this video, do give it a like, and if you found value from this video or any other video on this channel, then do subscribe as well. And until next time, happy investing.